Facebook ban. Starting on January 19th, 2025, Facebook's internal policy makers decided that Linux is malware.
What?
Yeah, it gets weirder. And labeled groups associated with Linux as being cybersecurity threats. Any post mentioning DistroWatch and multiple groups associated with Linux and Linux discussions have either been shut down or had their post removed. We've been hearing all week from readers who say they can no longer post about Linux on Facebook or share links to DistroWatch. Some people have reported their accounts have been locked or limited for posting about Linux. The sad irony here is that Facebook runs much of its infrastructure on Linux, and yes, that is true, and often posts job ads looking for Linux developers, also true. Unfortunately, there isn't anything we can do about this apart from advising people to get their Linux related information from other sources other than Facebook. I've tried to appeal the ban, but was told the next day that Linux related material is staying on the cybersecurity filter. My Facebook account was also locked for my efforts.
Oh,
You know, damn near the whole internet runs on Linux. Uh, a, a good many smartphones, Android, Chrome OS, I don't, there's so many things that run Linux. I can throw a rock and hit a piece of machinery that runs some sort of Linux. This is beyond retarded.
okay. Why do they have such a hatred? Why are they treating Linux users like hate groups and stuff? Why?
This happens every once in a while, and most companies have a hatred for Linux. I think they deem it as like, oh, it's free and open source, therefore it's inferior, or they're anti-capitalist, or I'm imagining it's something along those lines. Maybe they're thinking, well, they're open source and free, and eventually they'll knock us out of business. I've seen companies deny support for running games on Linux, even though they're perfectly capable of running, which is every instance. Actually, there's no Windows made game that can also run on Linux unless the company does something to block it. And you go on forums, people have a general hatred of Linux. As the Steam Deck was coming out, I was in regular arguments, people going, Linux can't run games. And I was banned from forums for saying it could, for saying it does, for saying, hey, I'm on it right now and I'll run games every day.
Yeah.
And I was banned.
Oh, that's bullshit. You
Um,
know,
and every once in a while, a government agency or even a president will go, this is for hackers and we can't allow it. And that blows over, but then it rolls back around every once in a while. There's also this misnomer, misinformation, however you want to phrase it, that Linux is a hacker operating system, which it has a lot of tool sets, a lot of things you can do on it, but you could hack somebody from any operating system technically.
well, doesn't the a lot of the government entities run on Linux?
Oh, you could say they all do. Virtually
Oh,
all of them do.
that's what
But
I
they're
thought.
unaware of this. I mean, think back to the days where the government described the internet as a series of tubes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
These are the
Yeah.
people we're dealing with. These are the kind of people we're dealing with.
Internet is a
You
series
know,
of tubes.
you have people that might own and play a Steam Deck daily that goes, Linux can't run games. And it's like, you dumbass. What do you think
Yeah.
you're using? And they're like, Steam OS? You dumbass.
Yeah, it's Linux.
Yeah, and they're showing proof of what Facebook is doing here. Now, I don't know what's wrong with people. I do find too often people are too quick to go, that's socialism, that's communist. And a good amount of time they're talking out their ass. And, my own personal take is, yeah, there's forms of socialism and forms of communists that are absolutely pure evil, but there are forms of it that we rely on every day that helps society function, period.
Yeah. Well, I think any form of government, when taken
And
to an extreme, can be a bad thing.
all you people out there that run the Chrome browser, it's based on open source. It's the Chromium project. It started out as KHTML, and they changed that engine eventually, but it's still an open source engine. If you have an Android phone, Linux, it runs a Linux kernel. If you draw money out of the bank,
Yeah.
the examples are endless.
Yeah. But
It says we went through a similar experience when Twitter changed its name to X. Suddenly, accounts which had been reposting news from our RSS feeds were no longer able to share links. This sort of censorship is an unpleasant side effect of centralized communication platforms such as X, Facebook's, Google Plus, and so on. I think it's biases. It comes down to that, and people fear something that's open source and free. I think it comes down to that, and a lot of times they see it as lesser quality because it's open. But it's like, you dumbass, most of what you rely on runs from it, was made by it, runs on it.
yeah, people don't like what they cannot understand, and they want to go with the status quo, most people, because it's what they're fed.